Hello and welcome back. In the last video I unboxed all the stuff that I bought at L&Y Electronics in Woodbridge in Virginia in the United States. Today I'd like to take the opportunity to test as much as I can and see if it works and see if I got burned on the whole thing. The first part of the testing happened right after the unboxing, so you're gonna see a lot of the same people as you saw last time. And as usual, enjoy the show. I think we should test some motherboards.
Caution.
Those came with the board. You can actually keep that cover on there and then insert the CPU and it pops the cover off when you push the latch down.
I'm not cool enough for that, Rico. Where's my potatoes?
Probably bottom of the box.
Ah, here's one. Pentium 4 521.
Good enough. Well, it turns on. There was a red light somewhere.
Hey, it has a postcard integrated.
I'll bit.
It's screaming at me. Do you hear that? Yeah, the regular postcodes seem to be... It's still screaming at me! I'm gonna just unplug the stupid speaker. Okay, let's try the superpower.
Its kryptonite is any AGP graphic card.
There is
We have
none.
that solved, Agent. He has a 512 meg 6200 PCI.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is one of those awesome main boards that put caps right next to the socket so you can't use any CPU cooler on it that's bigger than the CPU. Here I found one that should work, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna eat my pants. Okay, let's see if it works.
Because mine is potato.
Well, I have a local store that sells the the coolers. Uh-oh. That is not good. Maybe it only likes Celerons? FCPJs?
Yeah.
Hey, there was...
I guess not. It's really flimsy.
It can be modded.
Ah!
Hey.
Hello. Oof, 99. But it chip away virus on guard. You will not hack this.
These chips are actually super well documented. Intel published like every single, actually not just every single datasheet, 5 datasheets per chip.
You can...
MIDI?
What the f...
What is handling sound?
So this is like integrated AC97 audio in the...
But with MIDI support,
Yeah.
that is weird.
I went ahead and dumped the BIOS image to upload it to the RetroWeb. Pop, pop, pop. 7x...
X key.
Okay, done. Yeah, there you go. 512k.
I think what happened is it's copied a larger section of the shared memory region. Go to the reset vector.
Yeah, I'm trying, it takes a while. Ah, there we go. EA5BE0. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so there's the BIOS in there. This thing have a 4 megabit chip though.
Well, there's a lot of blank space in here.
Yeah, but what is there in between?
Nothing.
I think what it did is it copied a larger shared memory region. Like it shadows a bigger section of memory than the BIOS actually needs.
Well, no, because at the start it says award software.
Does it? Okay, it has IMD there, so this is actually a newer... So they put a 4 megabit thing on there and just wasted most of the space. Congratulations.
Yes, good job.
We found its superpower.
Next up, the weird and wonderful Chaintech Sys530 potato. Here we go.
Oh, it has ESS on board.
Yep. What's the settings here? Thank God I have the real-life manual for this thing. I instantly opened it to the right page. Kaboom! Okay, no auto start. Ah, here. Power sv. There we go. Oh!
Well, it boots faster than the previous one.
Ooh.
Well,
Doom.
you are doomed.
Yay.
This runs faster than on the Celeron.
I think it's the frequency.
The 100
Or it
megahertz
is,
FSB. Yeah.
Or it is the video card.
Let's try the Soyo.
What
I know
is
there's
the
some on
battery looking
chips
like?
at like the silicon level.
The battery has leaked, but not in the same way as I've seen here.
Oh, it's a SAD 486 with only IAC.
But with FSB of 50.
What is the frequency of the 46?
50.
Yeah.
You're making a card. Why don't you get creative with that?
Yeah, I said that because I was thinking
Huh?
of doing this.
It just powers right up. Would you look at that?
See,
The keyboard doesn't work.
Chicken.
Yeah, so this this board
It just works.
it posts, but the keyboard doesn't work.
I bet
Oh, is-
battery eaten
Varta.
the...
Yeah, for sure.
Varta hungry.
This one goes into the repair box. So yeah, here's the extent of the corrosion damage on that Soyo. Keyboard, data, and clock lines probably got the brunt of it. That's like the usual things, yeah? Either it gets your keyboard clock data or it gets power good.
oh, this is bad.
Yeah, but
That bad though.
the problem is this is like literally the only area that has any like effect, like visual effect on it. On a European board, I also never have seen this weird shit.
Yeah, it's come through the vias, so it's like seep through.
Yeah, so not a huge chunk of damage.
It's fairly basic as things go. Like
Mhm.
it should be easy.
Yeah,
It's just yucky that it happens.
yeah. But there is no next board. That was all the boards. Now it's time to test CPUs. And the thing I really want to test
The dual.
is the dual. Yes.
Prepare for one giant friggin' board.
I have to put that stand for the camera up really high to make it visible here.
Do you have enough RD RAM and Terminator for this?
I do not. I just realized. Fuck. Yeah. Okay. So I
I don't
can't
know
test.
how it works. Maybe not.
So this is all RDRAM stuff I have. This is all I have.
For one channel.
Yeah. But yeah, this is such a janky little. It's just such a janky thing. The RAM is like on a separate card that fits in like one of those.
That is the best way for i860.
So this board is amazing because it's all Rubicon. It's not doing. No, it's not doing. It's not turning on.
And if you plug it into the board, the 5V standby goes away.
No, but it tried to start. Like the fan started running when I plugged it in, and then it turned off. I'll just get a beefier power supply. An AcBell 500 watts power gold.
They say to use a dual Xeon compatible power supply, such as the NMB1 something weird.
Yeah, as soon as I remove it, as I remove the ATX, the 5V standby comes back. This is not standard ATX, no, it definitely isn't. Because this is supposed to be ground, and it's like 31 ohms to ground.
Yeah, I've got the pinout from an MSI board that is used by the same power supply, so you can make an adapter if you want. It's mostly straight recable.
Is it a WTX 24 pin?
Yeah, it's WTX, it's Workstation Technology Extended.
Test the CPUs on my other Tyan board, which is not W2X, but is also not RDRAM.
2608.
But this board is known good. This board I had running
It's
with my
already
ATX.
booted with that, okay.
Yeah.
This is E8.
Oh, there it is.
Not SSI. We do the blinky.
Yeah, but they turned off. Oh!
There's the display. It just took forever.
As always for the server stuff.
There we go. Xeon MP. Do we have two of them?
How do I see that?
Advanced processor configuration. I don't know. It's the first time I see this BIOS, and it's a Phoenix thing that from the
L3 cache disabled. Why?
because it's off by default. It's server boards. They do this to you. Oh, does it? What does it show there? Because I can't see it because it's behind the usernames. Like,
It is RAM.
oh, yeah,
4.
It's 4, so you have all your threads. You have everything.
Oh, POG champion!
Installed OS Windows 2000.
Win 95? Who the fuck installs 95 on this thing? So this is a pretty weird motherboard because it doesn't have an AGP slot. All it has is PCI X, which is a super fast version of 64-bit PCI. So what I did was I took the opportunity to test a graphics card I wanted to test for a long time now, which is a 64-bit Matrox Parhelia. It's from 2003 and it was supposed to be one of those enthusiast cards for like gamers who also care about image quality, but that never really manifested. The performance was behind the GeForce 4 Ti even, and the fact that it never received Windows 98 drivers, where Windows 98 was still a very popular gaming OS at the time, kind of hurt its sales a little as well. So I didn't really know what to expect. I wanted to try my go-to DirectX 9 game, Trackmania Nations Forever, and see how that goes. And to my surprise, it does work pretty well. There's no graphical glitches or anything. The only problem is the performance. It sucks. It scores around the same as my dual Pentium 3 1.4 gig system did. And those CPUs were running at half the frequency as this one. And it didn't have hyperthreading. So I don't know, considering what this machine would have cost if you had built it new in 2003, I think the performance would have been relatively underwhelming. Nevertheless, this is a cool and unique system, and I'm glad I tested it. These Socket 8 Pentium Pros I cannot test yet because it's highly impractical to undo my current Socket 8 machine, so I need to test those separately. What we can do, however, is test these three 486 variants. We got the ST DX266, we've got the AMD DX4100, and we got the Intel DX475. So let's grab ourselves a nice Socket 3 board with a ZIF socket and get to work. This is the board I decided to use for testing. It's a Soyo 025L2. It's supposed mostly everything that I could possibly throw at it as far as CPUs go. And it's just simply a pretty neat board. So I'm going to use it. So here's the manual. Let's test first of all the AMD DX4100. Set up for the 3 volts. AMD DX4100 setting. On, off, on. And JP20 needs to be set to 1, 2. Or 7, like this. Oh, it's already perfectly set up for that. Let's go. Aha! That's DX4 right there. CMOS checksum error, we don't really care about that, but hey, it's working. That's nice. Let's see if we can detect the hard disk. IO card is not functional. Okay, so I have another IO card. It's a VLB card. So I'll just use that one instead. See, IDE auto detection. Do you work? Yes! That's much better. Let's go. Let's just do some rudimentary testing. We can do landmark. Huh, it's actually running quite slowly. Turbo switch malarkey. No. 5 points! That's not a lot. It should be a lot more. Okay, judging by this, neither the external nor the internal cache are enabled. Yeah, okay. Okay. Why is this disabled by default? Who the fuck? Yeah, okay, that did the trick. Let's see, speeds. What do we get? Yeah, so after 256 it should drop off. Yeah. Got our 8K of L1 and 256K of L2. Yeah, and the ND CPU benchmark is 29.61 now, so that's more in line with what I would expect to see. So I can confidently say this CPU is working. Let's try the DX475. Right, DX4 settings, DX475. No, we need off, on, off, on. Yeah, there we go. DX4 CPU at 75. Uh-huh. Let's try PC player. Yep, all fine. Landmark. Right, all good. This one is good. Right, last but not least, we'll try the ST486 DX266. And that one's gonna be interesting because I don't actually know what kind of 486 I should jumper it for. Should I jumper it for a Cyrix? Should I jumper it for an Intel? Like what kind of settings does it want? Is it a 3-volt CPU or is it a 5-volt CPU? Okay, so according to the internet, it's a Cyrix DX266 in disguise. Yeah! Let's go. There you go. It does do the freezy business. Why is it so unstable? Software reset doesn't work either. Doom runs though. Actually, no, it doesn't. Let's see if it's against some cache malarkey. I don't know. Oh lord. Cache problems. Right, okay, so I'm pretty sure that this works in principle, this CPU, but I decided to just test it again with another motherboard, just to make sure that we don't have a problem with the CPU with regards to cache handling, if it's just a peculiarity of this motherboard. Got here an FIC 486 GIO VP. The good thing about this board, it has onboard I/O, so I don't need to use an I/O controller. So let me just jumper this thing real quick. Oh, we've got post. Okay, let's see. Cache should be on. Everything is okay. We have IDE. Good with that one. Alright. Let's see. PC player, please work. Oh my god, it actually works with the cache enabled. Nice. So it seems like this board is a lot faster than that Soyo. Good, so that Soyo board has something else. I don't know what's wrong with it. But I gotta check that out sometime. We can move on to test some cards, I think. Okay, so what I really want to do is I want to test this thing. This is a Cardinal MPC 701, a card closely related to the MPC 700. Now this card is very similar to an Orchid Soundwave 32, and what all these cards have in common is the fact that they are all based on the same chipset. They've got the Analog Devices Echo chip, which is a wavetable synthesizer processor thing. They've got a DSP, the ADSP2115, and they got the Windows Sound System codec, the 1848KP. This card is very infamous for having one of the worst wavetable synthesizers of all time. However, I've never heard one in person, so I wanted to see if that claim is actually true. But even though the chip for it is there, the MIDI functionality was a paid add-on. You see the socket for a chip on the top, that is where the upgrade would go in. The upgrade is really just a 4 megabit ROM where the samples for the wavetable are stored. And the thing is, I rummaged the scrapyards and I couldn't find a 4 megabit ROM, but I have this thing. This board, sadly, like it came with a 512K ROM upgrade. There exist 1 meg ROMs that are less shit, but the problem with that is the 19th address bit is not routed on this. And there's no pinout for this chip either, and I couldn't determine from the pictures on the internet where the 19th bit is on this chip.
Are these cards any good? I mean, Analog Devices is an expensive company, but back then I don't know if
the audio is okay, and they have like FM OPL kind of design thing.
Yeah,
but the
this
MIDI
is
comedy show.
Is Windows Sound System, so 16-bit sound card, 44 kilohertz, no problem at all. Problem is
Quality
this
is
thing.
also. Yeah, the echo is a meme.
Yeah, it's a I don't know if it's a meme because one guy posted sound samples of Descent, of one of the Descent songs, and it sounded really decent. I think
It's
where most
good.
of the games just mess up, or where the sample ROM messes up, is the volume and the balancing of the drum kit, because in most of the songs you can't hear the drums properly, and that just takes away the song's soul really and makes it sound like a meme.
That's what I wanted to say earlier, actually, with the ROM. There's not a lot of difference between the 512 and the 1 meg. They both have quirks.
39 SFO40?
Yes. That is the one.
So on Vogons we were able to find images of the ROM upgrade, and I got to work to flash that on the chip I had just found in my scrap box, which is an SSD 39 SFO40 4 megabit flash chip. Okay, let's take a look at this sophisticated technology right here. Yes, there you go. Easy.
It's now the retention.
It's a bit how you're doing, but you know, why not? So I went ahead and installed the drivers for this card, which was fairly straightforward, I suppose. But we soon realized that being able to install them easily does not mean being able to use them easily. You can clearly hear something. Not.
I don't hear anything.
Sound Blaster and OPL emulation were working from the get-go, but we couldn't get MIDI to work at all. Well, maybe I have to use genmid.ld instead of wait. Well, that still didn't give me any MIDI.
Some people speculate this thing is emulating certain things with the OPL stuff. It's emulating it with the wavetable.
Oh.
That does not sound like it's being wavetable emulated. Oh, here's a manual.
It's one of them that I don't know.
General MIDI synthesizer. Comes with several synthesis algorithms for different MIDI series. We executed. Just set up keys and
yeah, this is the Orchid stuff.
I mean, I could try the SW32 drivers. Why not?
You might as well, because they're all basically the same.
I believe
What
I
happened,
ran a
man?
fire
Why
alarm.
was that?
That was certainly a sound of all time.
That was a fire alarm.
Oh man. It's not even modulating the noise, it's just gone banana.
It's just decided today is the day.
Terminal Velocity also had it that it only had sound in the setup, but not in the game.
An hour later, this happened. Sorry. I would have thought it remembered my mixer settings, but I guess not.
This is like playing Five Nights at Orchids. Get the jump scare at which boot signal.
I can post the floppy images for the Beethoven drivers.
Those are the ones that you used? Type driven, but what the fuck is this?
Interrupt not found?
It is also hang, or hung, or hong.
Pitch Benson, what?
I mean, that is installed, maybe.
I have literally never bothered messing with this driver so much because... Something beans.
So we did a lot more troubleshooting after that, but in the end we got nowhere. It didn't seem like it was a software problem. So I decided later on my own to look at the hardware side a little bit. I have the scope set up to trigger whenever the output enable is pulled low on the ROM chip. And it does access the ROM very briefly when I load the driver. However, I noticed that it's trying to read from address 40000 because the last address bit is high. But I looked at that address in the ROM and it looks like wave data or something. I would expect if it does a check at the beginning to check for like a header or something, that it would check address 0. And just for fun, I guess, I shorted this address bit, A18, to ground. And once I do that, I get a lot more activity on the bus. So what I'm thinking is that the connection for A18 is interrupted somewhere. Okay, I figured out my mistake here. The original sample ROM is a 27C4001, not an 040. They're both 4 megabit ROMs. However, the difference between this and an 040, and in my case also my 040, is that A18 is on pin 31 and not on pin 1. So I have to do some finagling on this here socket adapter. Done. Let's see if this works. Let's put that ROM back. Oh yeah! Yeah, I then spent my time trying to find MIDI files that don't sound offensive on this lackluster wavetable synthesizer, and it was pretty hard. I only found one. This track from Descent. So we got the MIDI wavetable working, Sound Blaster compatibility is working, few games I've tested all worked fine, and the OPL emulation is working, albeit it's only an OPL 2, not an OPL 3. The fact that this whole card is so quirky, and it has a comparatively good circuit board design and low noise floor, makes this card a certified oddity that I think is worth preserving. A good buy in my book. Next up is this Creative Sound Blaster All64 model number CT4500. I threw that on my Celeron test bench and I used the universal ISA PNP sound card driver for MS-DOS by JaceFox and then tested OPL 3 first of all. As you could hear, it worked just fine, and then I configured Doom to run on Sound Blaster and the All32 synthesis to test if that works. I gotta say, while the DOS gaming community holds this card in somewhat high regard, I'm really not a big fan of the AWE synthesis. Maybe that just comes down to preference. It also isn't general MIDI compatible out of the box. You gotta do a bunch of finagling to get that where I don't even know. But it is a pretty valuable addition to the collection, I have to say. And I'm glad it works fine. Here we've got an HIS branded Radeon 7000 VE 64MB PCI graphics card. I'm a huge fan of higher than average powered PCI graphics cards, and that's mainly the reason why I bought this one and the GeForce 6200, because this kind of card enables motherboards without an AGP slot to somewhat perform well in 3D applications. So I threw it on the test bench here and it posted just fine. And the exact nature of the card was then revealed by a program called Astra, which is like hardware info except better on DOS in my opinion. But then I noticed I didn't actually have a Windows installation on this test bench at the moment. So excuse the self-plug, but I put on Windows 98 QuickInstall, which is something I created, which is a framework that allows you to install Windows 98 on old machines and new machines like really quickly. Potentially beating the official Windows 98 CD installer by about an order of magnitude or even more. It supports pretty much anything starting with a 486. You can boot the installer from floppy disk, it can install from CD-ROM, it can install from hard drives, it can even install from USB flash drives. The possibilities are limitless. This is the ultimate solution to all your Windows 98 installation problems. Trust me, it's freaking great. Just check out how fast it is on this really slow Celeron 366. I put some links in the video description for you to check out if you want. I mean, I wouldn't mind if you, tried it. Woo. Anyway, back to testing video cards. Now, since Windows 98 QuickInstall already came with an appropriate driver for my SATA and network cards, all I had to do was browse my vast driver archive to find a suitable driver for this video card. Now, ATI drivers are pretty confusing, so I really had to make sure by checking the PCI ID that belongs to this card and whether or not it's present in the inf file. The card made it to the Windows desktop without a hitch and the driver was working just fine. And I thought it would probably be a good idea to really test the capabilities of the card by running some test software like Benchmark 3D Mark 2000 for example, which by the way is also included on the reference ISO for Windows 98 QuickInstall. The card also passed this test with flying colors, and I mean, that is not a great score, but we're not here to set records today, so let's move on. Next up is the oddball GeForce 6200 PCI with 512 megs of video RAM. Wow. And this card posts fine as well. Driver-wise, it's not as much of a challenge as with the ATI card. I just pick a random forceware that was era appropriate and went on with it. No problem at all. Now, as expected, this card does score quite a bit higher than the ATI card, but I suspect on a platform like a Celeron 366, the driver overhead does take away quite a bit of performance. Now, next up is something I've actually really been looking forward to. This is the Cirrus Logic Laguna 3D AGP with the weirdo RD RAM on it. I'm really curious to see if it works. And it does look like we're on a bit of a streak here. The card posts no problem at all. And it makes it to the Windows desktop. Now, I've never had one of these before, so I really had to dig deep in my driver archive to find a driver for it. But I did have it. and it installed without a single problem. Curious to see how the 3D performance of this card is, I decided to use some more age-appropriate software. Now this card came out in '98 to my knowledge, and 3D Mark 2000 probably would have been too heavy of a load for this card, so I opted to install 3D Mark 99 instead. There's some problems with lighting and other issues that I would certainly expect from an early Direct 3D compatible accelerator, but overall it works just fine, which is nice considering how rare this card is. Last but not least, we have this Voodoo Banshee 16MB AGP card made by Diamond. And this one had a bit of a bending problem, so I was a bit scared that there would be artifacting or some such because of a broken solder connection. But no, the card started right up and made it to the Windows desktop. However, there was one problem. Take a listen. It turns out the fan bearing was full of dirt and really crusty, so I had to clean that up and then put a drop of oil in it. I had suspected that the bearing would be too far gone by now because of all the grinding, but actually it was fine. The card's now nice and quiet. I really didn't want to spend time trying to find the vendor-specific driver for this card, so I modified the reference driver to accept this particular variant. And as you can see, it works just fine. It has the usual 3DFX bug that PNP monitor detection doesn't work automatically. I don't really know why. And again, due to the age of the card, I decided to run 3D Mark 99 instead of 2000. And unsurprisingly, it performs a lot better than the Cirrus Logic Laguna 3D. And surprisingly, it actually does put up quite a good fight in 3D Mark 2000 as well. Nice. Overall, really glad this card works because, well, I think it's the most valuable graphics card in this set. And I mean, naturally, 3DFX cards always fetch a premium. That's just the nature of the beast. Now we reached the very last card in the set, and this is the Trident 4D Wave PCI sound card. I was always curious about these, supposedly they're not bad. And tracking down the driver for this thing was relatively simple, but not as simple as it could be because it was quite hard tracking down all the wavetable sample sets, because this card actually comes with a software wavetable synthesizer, and not only that, but it has 4 different sample sets. Of course, I had to try DOS game compatibility, starting with Descent, and it works absolutely fine. The card doesn't have any problems with any game I try, to be honest. Here's Doom, working perfectly as well. And even Death Rally works out of the box, a game that's normally very temperamental with sound cards. Much of the same here in Duke Nukem 3D.
Let's rock. Damn, those alien bastards are gonna pay for shooting up my ride.
But here comes the problem with this card. This card has no OPL emulation. It has an approximation by using the wavetable to emulate FM. At least the Ensoniq cards make an effort to sound somewhat intelligible, but this just misses the mark by like 10 miles. What the hell, man? That being said, Tyrion, another temperamental game, does work, except for this crackling issue which plagues 99% of sound cards that you play this game with, so I won't deduct points for that one. The card is also supposed to have some good native DOS compatibility, except I couldn't get that to work very well. This is one of the few PCI sound cards that actually allow you to use the soft synth in pure DOS. I wasn't able to get that to work, however, but Sound Blaster compatibility was flawless, so that's a thing. Overall, cool sound card. I doubt I'll use it in a build someday because of the lack of OPL, like what the hell. But anyway, interesting to see. Nice. Now I've already taken way too much of your time, so I'll make the ending short and sweet. Fact is, everything in this haul actually worked, except for the battery issue on the 46 board, which I already knew about because I looked at the board before I bought it. And it isn't a big problem to fix that, it's just fix 2 traces and you're done. And due to the experience alone, that trip was entirely worth it. I wish you a great holiday season, Merry Christmas, the absolute best for the next year, love each other, spend some time with your family, and I will hopefully see you intact in the new year. Bye bye.